see you guys in the dark.
So this happened in the mid-90s in Miami during the Christmas holiday break when I was about 7 or 8. Tiny bit of personal backstory. My great-grandmother, Nana, second husband ended up sexually abusing his grandkids, who happened to be my aunts, and my father for over a decade. But it was never discovered or spoken about until after he had passed away. About the same time I was born, so thankfully I never met him. But as we all know, that kind of abuse can seriously alter your view of the world around you. In this case, it made my family hyper-vigilant about protecting me, and I wasn't allowed to go outside alone, or sleep over at anyone else's house, ever. Okay, now back to the story. Since I was born, Nana had always lived with us. Before I was school-aged, I stayed home with her during the day, and once I began school, she would watch me whenever we had summer or holiday breaks. I loved her. She was a southern red-haired firecracker who took no shit from anyone, but had the biggest soft spot for me. So this winter break, I had just gotten new rollerblades and was going up and down the paved walkway practicing. My Nana was on the porch reading and watching me, and then the house phone rang. She debated having me come inside while she went to answer it. Cordless phones weren't a thing yet, but I pleaded to stay as I was finally getting the hang of it. She reluctantly agreed and went inside to answer it, but she left the main door open so that she could still see me through the screen door. It took a few minutes for her to return, but during that time, nothing happened, so I think she was more at ease. She returned to her book, and I was now working on learning a few tricks. After maybe another half hour or so, she said it was time for lunch, and we had to go inside. I begged her to let me play just a little bit longer, and promised when she finished preparing lunch, I would come inside, no questions asked. She stood there watching me for a bit, but then she agreed, and again went inside, leaving the screen door open, and told me to sing while I skated so that she could hear me. I gladly belted our in-sync digital get down as I practiced. Moments later, maybe 2 or 3, a white van came down the street very slowly. They seemed lost, but I didn't pay it much mind because I was a kid unaware of the evils of the world. Plus, I was on the other side of the chain-linked fence, so I was safe. Even when it rolled up and stopped in front of the house, I kept on skating. It wasn't until the passenger door opened and an extremely tall man stepped out and asked me which was the highway. At this point, I was nervous, but I held onto the gate for stability and pointed in the direction. He made some small chat that I can't really recall, but it was along the likes of how was Christmas, what did Santa bring me, etc. And then he asked me if I wanted to have toys that his daughter didn't want, like a Barbie house and things. I was still silent, because now I was scared. The way he looked at me was dark. He was smiling, but his eyes seemed both joyful and vicious. It still unnerved me to this day. He slowly came closer to the gate and asked if I wanted to check out the toy. This is exactly what they taught about stranger danger in school and home. And so I shook my head and began to skate backwards towards the door, not wanting to take my eyes off of him, but also not wanting to yell or run because I didn't want to be rude if he was really just being a nice guy. He came closer to the point where he was only a few feet away from the gate and asked if my parents were home. Now all thoughts of politeness vanished, and I panicked. Yelled for my Nana and tried to run inside, which landed me promptly on my back, and I smacked the back of my head against the concrete. At the exact same moment, he unlatched the gate to come inside, and before he could get to me, my Nana came bursting to the door with a cast iron skillet in hand, cursing. He looks up and sees her, and then bolts. He hopped back in the van before the door could close properly. The driver was speeding down the street. My Nana bypassed me completely and ran after the van, screaming at them. And I later learned trying to get their tag, but there wasn't one. She picked me up and carried me inside, called the police and my dad while she asked what happened. 10 minutes later, I'm with the paramedics getting my scraped elbows patched up while my Nana spoke with the police. My dad showed up soon after, and I didn't go outside the rest of that break. Years later, in my late teens, it came up one Christmas in conversation, and I got more of the story. Turns out my Nana was on edge more than normal because there had been a man who had broken into a woman's apartment in Broward, just a city over from us, and had been assaulted just before Christmas, and still on the loose. The description my Nana and I both gave the police matched the rapist to the T. Bald spot, bright blue eyes, and well over 6 feet tall. We don't know if he ever got caught, or them, since I'm sure whoever was driving the van was 100% down with whatever evil plan that man had for me. But thank God for my Nana. Rest in peace, Nana. And creepy guy asking a child for directions. Let's not meet ever again. I was supposed to meet my friend outside a train station to pick the food I ordered for Christmas Eve feast. And since I came earlier than expected, I started to stroll around the mall and just wait outside since that's where she's supposed to come from. As I was waiting outside the mall, a man tried to open the exit door, but it was locked. It's like a typical mall glass door, so you can see the outside and vice versa. And also has a sign that it wasn't working. I kind of smiled at what happened, like half an inch of a smile. And our eyes met as we walked to the right exit and past me, so I thought that he was already gone. As I was texting my friend, I suddenly felt like someone was staring at me. And when I glanced to my side, there he was, just a few inches away from me. I really felt awkward because he kept on glancing at me and like eyeing me from head to toe. I was so uncomfortable that I started to think if I'd run away or just go inside the mall. He started to walk closer to me, so I slowly kept away from him and decided to just wait outside the mall. Maybe go to McDonald's or something. My mind was already in chaos at the moment when someone tapped my shoulder. I was shocked and relieved at that because I thought the man tapped me, but luckily it was just my friend. We went inside the mall and I shared my experience to her. So she waited for me to get on the train before she left. I wasn't so familiar to that place either, even though it was a busy and large area. I just really hope that I won't encounter that man again, because it really got me in an awkward situation.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.